So, at the risk of some background sounds, because I'm in the kitchen, using the kitchen table, Amulet School, and VIP update. This is a non-membership publication on my Ajarn Spencer channel on YouTube, and it's for everybody to look at, but also to share with my VIP customers who buy out-of-store items, of which I have more stuff out of store than I have in store, and I have at least 8,000 amulets in store in my 3 or 4 stores online, but I have about 15,000 out of store, and I'm getting old and I can't get them in store fast enough, so time to sell to my VIPs and to people through line on Thailand Amulets. That's lowercase, no uppercase, no at. You can add me online, or you can write to thailandamulets@outlook.com. If you're interested, you can take a screenshot or say what I said it was, or show me a picture of which one. And you can also email me at thailandamulets@outlook.com to ask me to update you per email, and I'll put you on my mailing list. And you can get much cheaper out of store, because it saves me time making photographs. Sometimes I make 70 to 90 photographs for the more expensive products. Amulets, I mean. Product isn't really a good word. So let's start with one I haven't posted for a while because they're hard to find. Mid-era Luang Po Pinat, Wat Sanom Lao, or Wat Tha Koi. This one is Sombuan, Sapap Sombuan, meaning it has some he didn't put gems in, he just left the holes for gems because they ran out of gems, or because I don't know. And the oldest ones don't have gems. They look more like Din Pao Pong Asupat. It's more like a red earth, which you can actually see it's the same Pong Asupat here, but it's just coated in a color. And it is Dao Nai Pan Nai Pon. Nai Pan Nai Pon means Nai Pan says Nai Pon. You have soldier and policeman, so you have the 5 stars and the 8 stars, depending if soldier or policeman. Luang Po Pinat actually recommended to encase this way with the pendant on the top here, the ring, at a 45-degree angle to wear it on your belt or around your neck, but that it should be worn at a 45-degree angle for best results. In the top you can see it has Pong Asupat. Yeah, it has Pong Asupat. And some Mai Fa Pa, piece of wood that was a tree that was struck by lightning inside, and Pong Asupat necromantic powders with herb and earths, sacred earths, necromantic powders and necromantic earths, and gemstones, and the laurel. Yeah. And this is a very nice one with gold on one side and all gems, and grey on the other side and all gems. So very, very, very perfect exhibit from Luang Po Pinat, and very hard to find. The Dao Nai Pon Nai Pan, as well as his Mena Hom, which will have a crescent moon on it. And so next one, I showed this in the last one, but I couldn't define who it was from. Now I can. It's from Luang Po Nok of Wat Sankasi, and it is a Kiao Sura Phai. Kiao Sura Phai. It's like a forest leopard. What do you call that? A jungle leopard. Like an ocelot a bit. like a small kind of, it's a forest cat, jungle cat, a big cat, but not as big as a tiger. And very, very highly regarded for its magical properties in Thailand. And this is the kiao, the incisor, beautifully encased in old school silver. You can see. And the patina on the tooth, there's no inscription, which for me I would possibly decide not to inscribe as well, because it's very beautiful as it is. It's very much in perfect condition, so very beautiful. So Lumpur Nok of Wat Sankasi. This I also showed in the last time, it's Lumpur Sai, Wat Bang Hia, the Luksit of Lumpur Pan of Wat Bang Hia or Wat Bang Bo. Also encased in traditional ancient silver casing, wire frame casing for hanging on a belt or a pendant, neck chain or on a belt. And it's typical Lumpur Sai and beautiful. Yeah, it's probably a kiao a make, which is kind of like a tree leopard you find in the jungle. Or it might be one of the front incisor teeth of a tiger, but not the large fang. In Thailand it doesn't matter, because all teeth of all of these animals possess the same Maha Amnat, Kongapan Chatri. So this is fitting for those who don't want a big amulet. You can see it's smaller. Yeah, and everybody calls tiger tooth, tiger tooth, tiger tooth. But you have bear's tooth. Lumpur Nok made a lot of bear's teeth, tiger teeth, clouded leopard teeth. You know, you can even find camel teeth and whale teeth. But when people sell it as a tiger tooth, that's wrong. You have to know to tell the difference, which I do, because I studied anatomy of skulls and teeth on forums and on Harvard University pages. This is interesting. It is well known. Rien Lumpur Mun, Rien Ku, Mangkon Ku, the pair of dragons of Lumpur Mun of Wat Banjan. And as you can see, has a double code mat, which means it was not released at Wat Sutat, it was released at Wat Pa Nong Lom. So instead of 7,500 at Wat Sutat released, was 3,000 more. But this one, as you can see, if we compare it to one in Nua Loha Romdam, you can see, just move the light, you can see Mai Tat Peak. It has an edge around it. It has not been filed down like this one has been filed down. This one has not. It's been pushed out of the press and left. Mai Tat Peak, not cut the wings off. Yeah. And it is Wat Pa Nong Lom. Yeah. This one, released at Wat Pa Nong Lom. You can see the code stamp bubble here. Yeah. Very rare exhibit. It's a Gamagan coin with the double code stamp here and here. Yeah. The way to tell, one way to tell is to look at these lines on the tail. And you should have very fine thin lines going to the edge of the border of the coin is one thing. And there should also be a line coming from the beard of the dragon down to the head, a very thin line. Amongst other things, there are things in here and so on. And if it's not Mai Tat Peak, you can tell things also from here. Yeah. This is one, also Wat Pa Nong Lom, but one code Mi, not code Mat, code Mi. And this one has double code Mi. This one has the thin line. Yeah, and the thin lines going down from the tail. So หลวงปู่หมุนไม่ตัดปีก beautiful coin, only one of these เนื้อทองแดง beautiful sheen to it, you can see the rainbow sheen, which means it is เนื้อทองแดง but ผสม with very sacred ฉนวน metals in it, which is what gives it this sheen. As I said, never try to touch the surface of coins. Always grab coins by the side as much as possible to not let sweat, and I've actually washed my hands, they're very clean. You could use also kid gloves, white gloves, but it's very hard to grab amulets. Powder amulets doesn't matter. The more sweat and oil from your fingers on them, the more they get that old character. So there you go, a very beautiful coin from Umpu Mun. Also one from Umpu Mun here. For those who like royal coins, is Grom Luang Chumpon, Admiral Grom Luang Chumpon. Or if you're from Chumpon or live in Chumpon, or you follow the Luksit lineage of Lumpu Suk of Wat Bat Klong Makam Tau, because Grom Luang Chumpon, apart from being a royal admiral and a courtier, a kind of lord, he was also a magical student, a Luksit of Lumpu Suk of Wat Bat Klong Makam Tau, who made these two takrut actually, which this is Tak Chuak Lai Fan Jorakhe Khop, a closed-mouthed crocodile, and this is Tak Gliao Diao. You can see, look at the old lead here. Yeah. So that was Grom Luang Chumpon, very rare coin from Lumpu Mun. And sorry, I got that completely wrong. It's not a Lumpu Mun coin. This is the Rian Grom Luang Chumpon from Luang Po Tawi Sak, Luang Po Sia Dam. I'm very sorry. Also, the last of the four great highwaymen which Khun Pan hunted down. Yeah. He was called Sir Dam. You had Sir Phai, Sir Bai, Sir Maheswan, and Sir Dam. There were four highwaymen. He used to dress up like a cowboy, ride a horse, and have two pistols. Yeah. And that's his nat unalom on the back, which you can see in other forms of amulet from him. The famous nat from Luang Po Tawi Sak, who passed away as the last of the four great highwayman robbers of history. He was caught by Khun Pan and told he could either go to prison and be executed, or he could become a monk for the rest of his life and never ordain. And he did, and he became master of a temple in Bangkok, and he changed his name from Sir Dam to Luang Po Tawi Sak, and he built a big hospital before he passed away, and did lots of good acts for Buddhism and for the people. And this Riang Siliam, four-sided coin of Grom Luang Chumpon, Royal Admiral and Luksit in magic to Lumpu Suk, famous maker of the Takrut, Lai Tak Lai Fan Jorakhe, the closed-mouthed crocodile type Takrut, and this Tak Gliao, Tak Chuak Gliao Diao, one line. Yeah, you can see somebody has broken through here. That's checking authenticity. I don't do that, but some people do. It's from Lumpu Suk of Wat Bat Klong Makam Tau, who was the Ajarn of Grom Luang Chumpon. And Grom Luang Chumpon learned magic, such as breathing underwater and various other kinds of magic from Lumpu Suk, who was famous for blowing into banana flowers and turning them into live rabbits, or blowing into areca leaves and turning them into bees. We have a fly now with the light. So, take the light away a bit. There you go. Go back a bit. As you can see, we have quite a bit to go through. So, กรมหลวงชุมพรหลวงพ่อทวีศักดิ์ or หลวงพ่อเสือดำ more famously known as หลวงพ่อเสือดำ yeah. Udom Sak, กรมหลวงชุมพร Udom Sak. From Wat Si Nuan. From Lumpur Tawisak, the Luksit and last surviving highwayman who became a monk. From a bad man to a good man. Actually, he was a Robin Hood, but that's another story. Very famous for his tikrot, and he was famous because Kun Pan, Lumpur Sir Dam, who made this coin, Lumpur Sir Dam, before he was a monk and he was a highwayman, so a gangster, he would tell the people in the marketplace, I'm coming tomorrow, I'm going to rob everybody. But everybody would willingly give something at the entrance to the market to him, because as soon as he got the money, he would go to poor people and go give it to them. He didn't take the money himself. There's got a fly here. Actually, it's a flying ant. Leave it alone. So, we now want to look at the Rien Chao Kun No 2515 BE. You can see the code stamp here on the back. Yeah. In Galai Tong of Chao Kun No of Wat Thep Krin, which those who know of Chao Kun No know of his sacred practice and his diligent practice, and that most of his ceremonies would be graced with the presence of the great Lumputo of Wat Padu Chimpli, as well as other masters. But that Chao Kun No himself, as you can see, this has the royal insignia on the back. Yeah. And the number 9 for Rama 9. Yeah. And it was blessed with the royal presence of his king for the creation of a school. Yeah, the building of a school. And quite a rare coin from Chao Kun No. And those who like Lumpur Ruwai, this is Ngan Long Ya with Chung Sap on the back. But this one, where am I? I can't do it. I have to quickly look. It's 2537 BE, but it was released in Banpong, where I used to live. Yeah. At Wat Huai. Yeah. Wat Huai Chalam Pon. Yeah. In 2537. And also a very rare coin. You can see 2537 on the top here. Ajarn Pon, not Chalam, sorry. Wat Huai Ajarn Pon. Yeah. In Banpong, in Ratburi, which I actually used to live behind the paper factory in Banpong, in Ratburi. So Wat Hoi Ajarn Pon, very close to where I used to live with my ex-wife, long time before I ordained. And they told me I should see Luang Por Ruai to get Sakyant when I was living there, but I didn't realize it was the same Luang Por Ruai. And I didn't know this Luang Por, because this is Luang Por Ruai of Wat Tago. It's Luang Por Ruai of Wat Tago, released at Wat Hoi Ajarn Pon in 2537. So very nice rare coin of Luang Por Ruai. This here is not a cheap amulet. It's 2497 BE. And it has sacred powders according to the Tamrao Prat Somdet of Somdet Pat Puttajanto from Rangsi. How can I get this on here? I can put it here. How can I get, okay. So now you can see the powders, the Muan San of Luang Pu Phyak of Wat Ging Keo, 2497 BE. I'm trying. Very difficult. Try like this. There you go. There you go. There you go. Look at the back face. There you go. Nope, cannot. Just take it up here. Look at the back face. This is okay enough. Maybe I can save it in 4K and stop using that magnifier. And I'm still learning to keep the amulet far enough away from the lens. I still have to try again. No, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Can't do it. So, Luang Pu Phyak, 2497 BE. Yeah. Wat Ging Keo, and it is the Prat Luang Po To Bankating. Bankating is a Prat group amulet that was found, a very ancient amulet. And this is the Prat group. Luang Po To, Prat Luang Po To group Bankating, from the group Bankating, which as you can see is more like the Benjapaki amulets such as the Pong Supan and the Prat Nang Paya, which you can find in also these earth and clay substances, and the Kun Pen Bankrang. Yeah, so you're looking probably, I believe these amulets are considered to be about 700 years old. I just can't do it. I need the light on it, that's why. Cannot. That's enough. That's enough to see. Yeah, that's enough to see. พระหลวงพ่อโตกรุบ้านกลาง you can consider about the same prestige and price as the Khun Pheng Ban Krang itself. Very, very high-end amulet. This is very nice from Luang Por Cheng of Wat Bang Pang, Nonthaburi master. And this is neon because it has hua glung, which means kind of like a screwed top knot. Hua glung. Yeah. Kanha Charlie, girl and boy kids. These were the children of the Buddha who Jutaka or Chutok asked for when the Buddha in his previous life as Vesantara or Prawet Sandon, in his last of his 10 lives where he completed the 10 great perfections, was Vesantara. And in that lifetime, Chutok came and asked to take his children. And Vesantara's perfection he was practicing was giving. And the reason he was in the forest with his children was because he got thrown out of the palace for giving away the royal white elephant when somebody asked. So he said, you know, if you ask me to pull my eyes out and give them to you, I will. So he would give anything, and so he gave his own children away. Chutok dragged them off, and it was Ganha Charlie who were those, yeah. But he got them back and they got saved. But anyway, that's a different story. So they were very lucky. So Ganha Charlie is Mahalab, seen as wealth accumulation and luck bringer. Yeah, Luang Por Cheng of Wat Bang Pang from 249, about 2497 as well, sometime around that time. And now here's another Luang Por To Group Bangating, not Group Bangating, Luang Por To Bangating. They call Bangating because it's like the Group Bangating. But this one is Group Tap Khao, Ang Thong, which if you've read on my website Ancient Amulet, the story of the Prat Group Tap Khao, you will know they are a series of various pim made by Somdet Praputa Janto from Rangsi. I really can't do it. Can't do it at all. So, of which I had a collection, all of which sold, and this is the only remaining one of the Tap Khao, and I've never been able to find any more. And they're considered highly, highly valued by collectors of the amulets of Somdet Praputa Janto Promrangsi of Wat Rakhang, because they're accepted and obvious. And the Tap Khao had 3 eras actually. The era in which Somdet To buried, but there were already in the amulets from maybe 700 years before. And they were also later put in the later Ratanagosin era of Ayutthaya placed in there. So you can find 3 eras of amulets from the Tap Khao hiding place. But this particular series, as recorded in the diary of Luang Pu Kam of Ang Thong, who was an accomplice of Somdet To and a friend, this series was placed there by Somdet To as he returned from the north, came down river and dropped off at Wat Gate Chayo in Ang Thong, which he is closely associated with, of course, for the Prat Somdet Gate Chayo, of which I have a couple to show you. So, Tap Khao, this is actually an expensive amulet, but not quite as expensive as the Group Bangating. Not quite as expensive as the Group Bangating, the Group Tap Khao, but still quite an expensive amulet. Somletto, what do you want, you know? You can see the Roy Non here. The maggot lines. Going on to Lumpo Sakon, whose amulets are almost harder to find, if not definitely harder to find than those of his Kuba Ajarn Umpu Tim these days. I suspect one day a lot will appear again because people have bought a lot and are sitting on them, waiting for 10 years to pass or whatever. Actually, I do that myself sometimes. So you can see this crab from the group where they've been keeping them because they kept some. So these came out later. They were released in ceremony in 2537 and some remaining ones were placed in group. This is in Wan, Dog Tong, with 2 takrut. These two here are, this is Ner Pong Putakon, also with Takut Salika Ku, Celestial Magpie Takrut from Meta and Mahasane in Tongdang and Dibuk, or silver actually I think, because it seems to have not discolored, but might be Dibuk. No, it's silver. Had to put my head to the side and look. And this with the Yangabong Kwai of his Kuba Ajarn Lumpu Tim. So Kun Pan Prai Guman, of course, with Pong Prai Guman and Lumpu Tim, released in the Wang Hin Sila Rek, putting the Sila Rek, the foundation stone in the temple in 2537 BE, yeah. Lumpo Sakon, Wang Hin Sila Rek edition 2537 BE. Kun Pen Pong Prai Guman. It's a nice size for both ladies and men. And encasement in gold. I would be willing to clean these actually if people wanted me to clean off the crab, but I like it like that. Let it develop how it is. But to be honest, I know how to clean. So if people wanted me to clean, I could clean. Yeah. Royal. 2537 BE. Twin takrut. Hard to find these. They popped up, were around, everybody snapped them up. I got about 5 of them. And then all of a sudden, I saw the, oh dear, that thing, they always die anyway. Well, I'll keep those wings because that's Muan San, believe it or not. Or I won't. I'll take them out for the moment. So now, talking again about Lumpu Suk of Wat Pak Klong Makam Tao. This is the Somdet Rasami Gruk Klong Khom, which is in the northeast or in the eastern region of Thailand, but which Lumpo Pan of Wat Bang Lum Kho went with Lumpu Suk of Wat Pak Klong Makam Tao in Chainat, the Kuba Ajarn of Grom Luang Chumphon, to place these in the group at the Wat Klong Khom temple in the Chedi Stupa, and they were later found in Bailan powders black, metallic, also a pitta version, and in these white powders. But this particular one, as you can see, has a pinkish, if I can get the tone properly, you can see has a pinkish tone to it. Can you see the pinkish tone? And it's called Om Chompu. So Ner Om Chompu, you can see the pink, Ner Om Chompu is the most preferred. That was my dog grunting. It's the most preferred of all, and this is a particularly beautiful and perfect pim. A lot of them are very thin, a little bent because of the hand pressing. You can see each one's different. This one has a nice thickness to it. and the rear face, beautiful. You can see the Umpu. So these ones are slightly more expensive than just black or white. And the Umpu, this is the last one I have of. So that was from all the ones I picked up. The last one, as I said, somebody just called, so turned off my video without me wanting. And a beautiful amulet. So, go on to some metallics now. And this is Lumpu Tuat of Wat Lon in Yala, which is where Lumpu Tuat's sacred peat marsh is, where he takes the black Dingagayak's sacred powder. Just a sip of coffee, please. Very nice. My wife makes the best coffee. She had a coffee shop when I met her. That's how she won my heart. From Wat Yala, yeah, in 2509 BE, yeah, released with the Yanpu. From Wat Lon in Yala. Pim Tao Reed in Nửa Lô Hạ, heavy, in metal, in sacred metal. Beautiful. And I have actually, I believe, 3 of these. And I also have one that's not Lumpu Tuat. It's a pitta, but it's the same Pim Tao Reed, but instead of Lumpu Tuat, it's a pitta. But I don't have it right here to show you now. Couldn't find it. Another day, maybe I will tell the story of Wat Lon, the Lumpu Tuat of Wat Lon. So now for Lumpu Tuat, let's get serious. This is a Pim A. Siento, none. From 2497, you can see the crystalline Petnatang or Hinsil, what do they call it? Hinsila Nam, waterstone, but it's actually a crystalline substance. And if it is, this has been placed in group, which is why the white powders. Also, Dingagayak will produce white powder on some examples depending on its atmospheric, how it's been kept. The sacred peat, marsh peat, used in the black Dingagayak's sacred earth, Muan San, and Pong Bailan, of course, for making Lumpu Tuat amulets and other amulets of Lumpu Tuat in powder, and many other kinds of amulets. We'll use Dingagayaks, but usually it's used for making Lumpu Tuat amulets because he found the sacred peat marsh and used it himself as Muan San. So it's a sacred peat marsh that he found and where Ajarn Tim of Wat Shanghai would collect. And it's known very well that little particles of white can appear, and that the Lumpu Tuat 2497, first ever edition of Lumpu Tuat, they say, don't agree because yes, but I might not agree because I believe there is an older master who made Lumpu Tuat before that, but I have to prove it. Same as Lumpongan first edition from Wat Bang Klan. Actually, the first Lumpongan statuette I seen made was from Lumpo Pit of Wat Makang, who came long before that edition, but anyway. So, officially the first ever edition of Lumpu Tuat amulets, yeah, was these. You can see the crystals on the back. I can see the wan, but these 2 examples not so much because they have the crab group. Here we have another model. This one, by the way, sorry. If you look here, if you look at these 2, you look here on this shoulder, you can see a little bubble. That is called a spot, and this model is different. This is a Pim A. Look at the head, it's bigger. The Tauri, the outside, is a little bit bigger. This is a Pim B, and it's called Lai Jud, which means it's got a ball or a spot on its shoulder. Pim Lai Jud. Niyom. Very preferred, this one, Pim B Lai Jud. Yeah, don't think when I say Pim A, Pim B, that the Pim A always has to be better. Yeah. Matter of personal preference anyway, but if you follow magazines and how the societies will evaluate, they will say the Pim B Lai Jud. Now, if you see this one close up, you can actually see some of the yellow, orangey wan starting to appear, apart from the crab root. All have a takrut in the bottom, of course. So did the other one I showed you. They have takrut. You can say the นื้อ is not the same also. This one is darker, has more dingagyayaks, and you can see the little white spots forming within the dingagyayaks. Yeah. And just look at the aging here. Look at the aging. You can see the wan and the white spots and the crystals on the back twinkling. Yeah, and the same. This one is the Pim A. You can see the crystals on the back twinkling. You have to have that. So, this also, another model. It's a smaller model. You can see it's smaller. Yeah? Pim Klang. Pim Klang. And here you can see the wan, the spots of yellow orangey wan. And look at the head, the shininess, the fossilization, the condensation of the head here. How shiny it is. The hand, the bent hand pressing of it. And look at this wan. You can see white spots, but you can see the yellow orangey wan forming around the chest and around the shoulders. Yeah. And here again, the crystals on the back forming, and the white dots and wan around the takrut on the base forming. Beautiful Pim. You can see the curve as well from the hand press. Thumb. Another Umpu Tuat. This Pim leg, and very beautiful. Perfect exhibit. Absolutely perfect. Look at the aging of the Muonsan, 2497, first edition. Look at the crystals twinkling on the back. And very clean, clear-cut details. Absolutely beautiful amulet. In the Ajarn showrooms, you'd be looking at $10,000 for that. With me, well, for my VIPs, it's a different price, but you have to be a VIP to know that price, because VIPs buy a lot, spend a lot, and so added all up, the profits of the year allow me to give a cheaper price and make less profit, and sometimes none at all on an amulet. But if they buy 50 a year, if I don't make any profit on 3 or 4 of them, giving a good price, and I only make half as much as people who buy 1 a year, because they buy 50 a year, Well, I still made more than I made from the person who buys one a year. So to get them cheap, VIPs. But non-VIP price, still a lot cheaper than $10,000, yeah? You'd be looking at this from me for about $1,200, which I was talking to my friend in Thailand who also is an amulet savvy. He's an elder and he really knows. He has some amulets even better than I can find. And I can find good amulets, as you can see. And he said to me, what? That's all you sell it for? He said, you're crazy. He said, that's too cheap. I said, yeah, but foreigners are not going to pay $10,000 for it. Or some do, but I don't know those customers. And considering I've got a good eye and I wait until I can pick it up at an affordable price, I can sell it at that price. I haven't lost money on it. Right? So why should I charge you $10,000 if I manage to get it at a really good price and I can sell it to you for $1,000 plus, yeah? And some stuff I get so cheap. I mean, I base my prices, I'll tell you the market price, because if I want to get more, I might not get them so cheap again and have to charge more if I sell again in the future. But if I got some cheap this week, I'll sell them cheaper than I would have to normally because I didn't pay as much as I usually do. But if later I have to restock and I find some more and I paid double, of course I'm going to have to charge more. So please, I want people to understand that. If you see, okay, I sold this one, this is the Pimparod. Yay. You look how pointed it is, yeah? This is very rare pim. Very, very, very rare pim. And look at this. Look at the twinkling rare. And just look at the aging. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, I think this one has had a little bit of lacquer mixed in, I'm not sure. But it's very, wow. Sampat peel, you can see where it's contact with skin and atmosphere. And very rare pim indeed. Very, very, very rare pim indeed. A very rare pim indeed. Pimpalod. Still got two more. Lumbu Tuats. And here you can also see the wan, the yellow wan, huh? And the white dots of the Din Gagiayak, the sacred peat marsh earths. Yeah, look at this fold here. That can't be faked. On this ridge, through the hand pressing. And look at the contraction of the Muansan on the back, the crackles, the white finer powders coming to the surface and hardening. You can't scratch it off. It gives it a crackly effect. And of course the shiny particles, of which you will find more or less, you can see. But I showed you some other examples. You can see much more, some are less, some are more. Same as the wan. Here you can see lots of wan, absolutely lots of wan, meaning herb. And the white Din Gagi Ayak's powder. Look at this spot here. Look at this spot here. That's the typical spot of Din Gagi Ayaks. Whereas if you look at this white powder here is from Grot. It will be spots. It is spots of white. Like this spot here, that is in the Din Gagi Ayak. But this white powder will be, it has been hidden, buried. So last one of these Lumputuat. I've got a hair here, get that out. I don't like stuff on my white paper. And also a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful exhibit. Just look at the shiny hardened. You can see wan, on that, but this will come up less. If it rains and it's very moist atmosphere, you will see these amulets change. You will see the wan become visible, and then when it's dry again, it disappears. It's amazing. They actually, the Umpu Tuat 2497 first edition, most highly prized Umpu Tuat amulet in the world, for me, not including coins, huh? And metallics. Talking of powder, is this, and this is a PB as well. And I just check. It is a light jute. It is a light jute. Have a little spot, but it's very tiny, not very visible. And here you can see the shiny and little black points of the white elements within the Dinka-Giayak, black sacred peat marsh earths. This is a classic. This is perfect. With this shiny fossilized contracted look, it just gives it the, people will even ask you, is that powder or metal? Right, if it's encased. And the lotus is just shouts out authenticity. Sometimes you can't see them all to examine, but the lotus is used for authenticating a lot. If you look at the pim, I look at the aging and the muan san. Look at the wan here. See a piece of wan. Oh, yeah, it's wan. And the white dots are Dinka-Giayak, and the shiny, and look, Dinka-Giayaks, and the shiny bits are the crystalline particles. So beautiful indeed. So those are the Umpu Tuat amulets there, here. And time for a sip of coffee, please. Just to let you look. At the Umpu Tuat. And I know somebody's, at least one person's going to be thinking, yeah, you've been talking about Umpu Tuat. Can I have a look at that, please? Okay. So, what is this? It's Prat Mahesuan. As most people know, if it's Song Dan, two sides, it's reversed on each side. And this is Ner Chin Ngen, not Chin Takua. Chin Takua is leaden. Shin Ngen is leaden with silver, solid silver mixed in. And this is Sanim Dang, red rust, not green rust. You have Sanim Kiao, Sanim Dang. This is Sanim Dang, but not a lot, but you can see. And it shouldn't be a lot really, unless it's been seriously under serious conditions. So this is about the right amount. And as you can see, the unevenness of the Nerchin is perfect to show authentic. Lastly, not lastly, but additionally, if you look at the crab group, which I'm going to risk trying it again. It's because the camera I'm using, my hand goes the other way. Let's just get the light on here. And turn this. Oh, I just can't do it. How can I do it? I'm going the wrong way. Let me do it with my eye first. Can't do it. Okay. What I want to say is that the crab, the mildew should, okay, that's good. The mildew should not be pasted on the top. It should explode from within. So you should see that the crab growth has exploded from under the surface and worked its way out through the surface, which causes the surface to have to explode in certain areas, which I'm looking for an example for you and messing around with this dashed spotlight. Yeah, you can see the bubbles coming up here. Yeah, and you can see where it's exploding. But this has so much crab growth on it that you sometimes, if there's some missing in some places, you'll see holes where the surface has broken open and this crab comes up. Yeah, but in this example there's so much crab on it. And sanim dang. Beautiful example. Which group, I'm not sure, but to me it looks perhaps Pasi Mahatat of various pimp that were made, but it doesn't matter because you're looking here at a many centuries old amulet. Who knows how old the Mahesa one is. There's much different stories. I suppose I shall have to Berk Tamra Prat Mahesa one. I shall have to make a video story documentary about it because my writing, I'm getting so old, I'm slow. I'm going multimedia video. So Prat Mahesa one. VIP price once again only for members. You will see soon that some of my videos you'll have to subscribe membership. Sounds really greedy, but it's not for that. It's because I'll be saying VIP prices. So if you're not a VIP and you want to become one and get those cheap prices, the money you'll save on the cheap prices I give in those videos, which have wholesale prices for people who buy a lot or people who subscribe. If you don't buy a lot but you want a cheap price as if you bought a lot, then you subscribe to YouTube to see my videos. If you've seen 2 or 3 and that's enough that you want to buy, you unsubscribe. I'm not sure if it's going to be $1 a month or whatever, yeah, but if you're going to save hundreds or thousands of dollars a month on getting VIP prices if you're buying a lot, then I'll probably have a tiered level where it's $10 a month or something. But those $10 a month, you might save hundreds of dollars a month or even thousands if you are a high-end collector. And I have high-end collectors who spend up to last month because I have some payment problems with the loss of PayPal, but some people, believe me, spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month collecting amulets and make probably $1 million a month. There are many. This is from Umpu Bun of Wat Klang Bang Keo. As you can see, I hope, it has the Yan Dot. It has inscriptions on it from Umpu Bun. And it's Hum Takoa, it's a bia gare, so a cowrie shell amulet covered in Takoa, lead. Yeah, from Umpu Bun of Wat Klang Bang Keo, so 1.5 centuries or so or more old. I've had a couple sold out instantly. I do have a couple more which people prefer this, but he did some with coated in red and in yellow, and of course coated in cords with lacquer, some even with a piece of the cowrie shell, the seashell poking out in the middle. But these ones very popular because so easy to see and you can see the hand inscription. And lead is anyway a great transmitter of magical and electromagnetic forces and electricity and power. So I'm quite sure somebody wants that. Next one, just for those who I didn't spend enough time on, just let you have a look. Staying still instead of wobbling around. พระมเหสวน okay. Okay. So, something for ladies and men who like this. I do. It's the Palod, but it's not the Palod Merto of Lumpur. It is the Palod. I think they call it Palod Chiang San. It's released in the North Lana region in 2497 with a great ceremony with Lumpur, with so many. But it was discovered in a group. So I'll tell you the story about this later, because right now I've got so many things in my mind, and I am still lacking finishing my study of extra information that isn't in most descriptions to back up everything before I say, yeah, whether it was made in the year it was found out about, or if it was discovered in a group and then re-blessed in a ceremony, because there are different accounts. But anyway, it's a very highly prized, very commonly known and well-known amulet, relatively rare, and for its age and prestige, actually not an expensive amulet. Probably more expensive to encase in gold than the amulet itself, but that makes it a really family heirloom amulet that is very old. Yeah, Prat Group Benjapaki amulet, immortal amulet. Prat rod means to pass under without hitting your head. It actually means, rod means to escape, or to escape punishment, escape guilty in a court case, or escape death. Yeah, rod, or escape poverty. Rod means I managed to, during the last 3 years, many people have gone bust, but those who managed to survive, they passed through it safely. So Prat Rod is famous for that. And this is about, I believe, 2497 BE, either found or made. I can't remember. I'm sorry about that. So much in my head. This is from, I think, 2514. Ajarn Nam, or Portan Nam Putasaro in Nua Takua Nam Nom Kwai, buffalo milk lead. It's a sacred alchemical formula. Portan Nam, or Ajarn Nam, was a monk who was the abbot of Wat Don Sala after Ajarn Iat, who was the Luksit of Ajarn Tong Tao, the founder of Wat Khao Or, of the Khao Or tradition. So this is the southern Khao Or tradition amulet in using alchemical metallurgy, yeah, with mercurial leaden alloy, and Nam Nom Kwai. They call it Nam Nom Kwai because you can see this buffalo milk kind of sheen, what you see on the top of a bucket of buffalo milk. I seriously doubt they mix buffalo milk in there. That's not why. It's because of the effect. Yeah, and it is langbab with a yan, so it has a pitta on the back. You can see has this crab bird, Sintakua. You see the explosions on the surface starting to happen, breaking out from the smooth surface, which you can see in some places, and then it's getting all fuzzy and powdery kind of effect, which you can't scrape off. And on the front, just look at the aging factors of the Takua Nam Nom. Yeah, Nua Takua Nam Nom. Buffalo milk, alchemical lead. It's a heavy amulet. You need to enjoy wearing heavy, or wear a single. And if you encase this in gold, it'd be even heavier. Would look nice in silver. I would recommend silver for this. It will contrast with the depth of tone of the darker leaden alloy. But with gold, of course, always nice. These are from the great Lumpa Yard of Wat Gao Ajarn. You will see this takrut, which has the mat dye with these rainbow magical ribbons tied to, also made from Lumpu Rien of Wat Bang Rahong and from Lumpu Chai of Wat Sadet, which will usually be in solid silver from Lumpu Chai, but also find in other substances. I got 2 of these, so I'll just let you have a look at them. Very tiny. A lot of people love small amulets because some people like to show, collectors. I like to wear it visually. I wear my amulet outside. I enjoy it when people who know what it is and recognize it. Somebody saw my somdet around my neck the other day, my friend, who also is very expert. He just looked at the front of my somdet, Wat Kang, around my neck, and he asked me, Lang Nang Tze Jin Ru Pao, is that the one with the Chinese letters on the back? And he also said, Nơ Pun Pet Chai Mai, that's in crystalline powders, meaning the white, marbly powders. I said, yes, it is. How did you know? He just smiled. And he knew the name of Nơ Pun Pet because in the time of His Majesty Rama V, the last king of 5 kings which Somdet Pabuddhajanto survived of Wat Kang, he distributed some just to the people in the palace in some very white powders, using only the seashell powders, the 5 sacred Pongwiset, yantra powders, and ivory powders. So they look very white, clean and different. I'll show you some in a minute. So anyway, this is from Wat Gao Ajarn, yeah? Lumpa Yard of Wat Gao Ajarn. Who? If you go to Thailand-amulet.com, you'll see I have some amulets from him there, and that's where these will go if I put them in the shop. Yeah. If it was from Lumpu Rien, Wat Bang Rahong, I would put in ancientamulet.com. But anyway, these are very highly sought after. Lumpa Yard of Wat Gao Ajarn. Those who follow thailandamulet.net and ancientamulet.com and my videos, they don't really know about him much, because most people don't know that because ancientamulet.com and Thailand Amulet has so many different masters now. To get less confused, I've made another website, Thailand-amulet.com, which is a small website, but it's to present other great masters of great repute and history, great ancientamulet.com style masters, same style, but so you can find all the masters more easily, because my shops are getting so big with different numbers of masters that I need to split it into different shops so people can browse and find. So if you want to study Lumpa Yard of Wat Gao Ajarn, you go to Thailand-amulet.com and you'll find a write-up. In one of the write-ups of one of his amulets, you'll see I've wrote about him, who he learned from, his trajectory, and so on. So here's another one. I know people are wanting to say, pick that up. Yeah, and maybe that one. But here is a great pitta of Lumpu Jin of Wat Tha Lat. Of the Tamlan Pat Pitta, considered by many as a top 10 pitta of all time. Yeah. Along with those of Lumpu Khai and so on. But this is Lumpu Jin of Wat Tha Lat. You can see with the Ong Prat on the back. And this is Nơ Pong Kluk Lak powders mixed with ancient red Chinese lacquer. You can see the redness here. Yeah. But it blackens over time through oxidization. And as you can see here, the bubbly crackled effect and the tapum tapam, the little bubbles that have started to form. Can you see here? Little round bubbles. And here you can see red, and it's forming bubbles and it's turning black. The red pieces, you can see where it's turned black and where it has turned red. Yeah, this is true aging. You can see the muon san underneath this reddish muon san, so you know it's Lumpu Jin, this muon san. Yeah. And the krap bang, the fine powders that get pushed up as it dries, as the heavier, larger molecule powders get pushed within, and the smaller molecule particle powders and pigments get pushed up. So you have this bang, what I call talc, forming, and it always forms first in the crevices, the small crevices of the amulet. But you see these little small lines here that have formed, like water lines. This is where the bang has also started to form. Yeah. Not a cheap amulet, huh, this one. You're looking at about maybe 1,200 for this one. Already cheaper than Thailand. Some people would take, I don't know what they're taking for this in the Ajarn, but I wouldn't even dare to ask. So here, Lumpo Heng of Wat Khao Din, Sữa Mop. It's taken me 3 years of study to confirm it's not Ajarn Heng Pai Wan and it's not Lumpo Derm. It is Lumpo Heng of Wat Khao Din. These carvings made me think Lumpo Derm so much, and also on the bottom, but in the end the nat is not Lumpo Derm, yeah, it's Lumpo Heng. Also the ta here, the totahan, the T in calm, yeah, and otherwise the carving. But the thing is so much patina on it, it has to be not one of his, just the end of his trajectory, has to be one that has been made at least mid-trajectory, making it very old, and also has to have been worn against the skin a lot by a devotee to gain this patina, because it is the skin contact that causes ivory to develop. Also the tail told me, because the tail, this, if it was any of the other masters I was suspecting, would not have been carved in this style. Would not have gained this patina. So very, very old. Lumpo Heng. Sữa Mop. Mop means mob long. Like when I tell my dog off, he does that. He bows down to me. He's bowing down. So it's Metta Maha Niyom. Of course, Sữa, tiger, has Maha Amnat, commanding power, and Konga Panchatri, protection, yeah, and winning, yeah, dominion. But this particular one is Metta as well. So great, compassionate preference, gain preferential treatment, escape court cases and stuff like that. Also very good, yeah. Lumpo Heng, Wat Khao Din, with hand inscription. Beautiful carving, slightly curved. That's nice. Wear it on a belt, on your hip. It's not going to hurt your hip. If it was straight, it would. So this is actually good for on a belt because it will curve around. The curve goes with your body. Some people might complain about that design, but ivory, well, tusks are curved anyway, you know. So I wouldn't call that any kind of disadvantage, this curve. I would say that fits perfectly on a belt around your waist. So let's go to Wat Klang Bang Keo again, the Luksit of Lung Pu Bun. This is the Somdet Bok Po in Nua Kamin Sek, which is really hard to find amulets in this substance from Luang Pu Perm of Wat Klang Bang Keo, Nakhon Pathom. So famous for his Bia Gat and his Somdet in Yawasana Jindamani, all his Yawasana Jindamani powder amulets, which are healing powders, which he took the Wicha from his Kuba Ajarn Luang Pu Bun of Wat Klang Bang Keo before him. Yeah, and Ajarn Bai, who was another monk, a Lukwat, a monk, not an abbot, at the same time as Luang Pu Perm, who also learned the Wicha Bia Gat of Lumpu Bun and all of the other Wicha of the Pratsadet Glab, yeah, which is like a brokpo, a round one like a thumbnail, yeah. Saton Glab, Sadung Glab. It's with the something turning back the other way, like it's like a brokpo like this. So this is with the body leaves in Kamin Seg, sacred cumin powders, which are so highly valued by the Luksit of Lumpu Perm and Lumpu Bun, Lumpu Jua, and Ajarn Bai, all of Wat Klang Bangkeo. That's 4 great monks of history. And now we have the Abbot Lumpo Kong, or in brackets Lumpo Sanya, but his real title is Lumpo Kong. The current abbot also continues to make biaga and other amulets in the tradition of the Wicha Lumpu Bun. Lumpu Perm himself was, in his era and is now, also highly preferred and expensive, but not like Lumpu Bun, of course, because he's maybe 50 years later. So this was about 2518 made, not sure if released in 18 or 19, should say on the back. I haven't got my glasses on, with the Langrup Muan by Po in a body leaf with the picture of Lumpu Perm. I think it's 2519 or 2518, latest 2519, and it's in perfect condition. In the very rare first one I've got that wasn't in Yawasana Jindamani, also rare and highly valued, but this is the first one I managed to find in Nua Kamin Seg, and luckily most of his somdets are quite worn out. This one is in absolutely perfect condition with perfect relief, no chips, no nothing. So a beautiful amulet. Neither too expensive, but also of course not super mega cheap. For a powder amulet, if it was a new amulet from an unknown master, you might think expensive, but from Lumpu Perm in Kamin Seg in this quality, in Thailand, you'd be looking at about $100 or so. So you're looking at about $100 from me, maybe $90, $89 for that. Yeah, which is really cheap, believe me. If not, you try and find one yourself and see how much you pay for it. So I'm going to put you out of your misery now. Some people actually wanted to see this and show you Chuchok Get. And somebody asked me what this is. I'll tell you what this is. This is Kiao. But it's a tusk, not a tooth. I called it a tooth, but it's actually a tusk. You can see here. This is what tells me it's a tusk. It's a wild boar tusk. But the thing is, it's a kiao prong, and it's a double tusk. So it's what you call a kot. A kot means an anomaly. It means anomaly. Because a boar's tusk, a wild boar, his tusks, he only has one each side, but this is a double tusk for one side. You can see the lines of the tusk here. You can also see Lumbutim's inscriptions here, yeah? And it is kot, it is tan, kiao mu tan. Tan means not hollow, completely solid inside, because usually there will be hollow inside, where the marrow is and stuff. And blood can pass through. But no, this is, if it is like that, it's kongapan. Yeah, which Mupa is anyway Kongapan and Mahalap, lucky. And Chuchok, of course, is lucky fortunes, Mahalap. Ask for anything, money or help, you get it. So he's got a sack on his back to carry all the things he asked for. He gets everything he asked for, even the Buddha's children, as told before in the story of Ganha Charlie, who came to the Buddha and said, can I take... He came to Vesantara, who was the last life of 50,000 lives recounted by the Buddha of his previous lives before he was born as Gautama Sakyamuni. And so, before he was Gautama, he was Vesantara. And Chutok went to Vesantara and said, can I have your children? He said, well, I'm practicing giving, perfect, without condition. So yes, you can. And he took Ganha Charlie and dragged them off by the hair And they said, please, why are you leaving us? He said, because in the next lifetime, I'm going to become a Buddha. And to do this, I have to finish this very last perfection. I'm sorry, but please, will you allow me to do this, to give you away so that I can give up all of my clinging and attain the 10th perfection. And in the next life, I will become the Buddha. And Kanhachali thought about it, and they thought, well, how can we not give him this chance to be the first Buddha that we can know of and think of that has walked the earth? Even though there were three before him actually, but to prevent him from becoming a Buddha, okay, we will go with Chutok. So they say the Vesantara's great sacrifice was giving his children away, but I would say that his children, who in the legend are reborn, meet the Buddha again, and they have their own story. I think they're reborn as 2 of his 5 Panjavaki disciples who became Arahants. I'm not sure. I'll tell a story of that later. Don't want to confuse. So their renunciation was even greater than Vesantara's, because they went off dragged by Chutok by the hair to be tortured and treated like rubbish. Yeah, but they agreed to allow it so that their father could become a Buddha. So Kanhachali, very meritorious kids for allowing themselves to be enslaved so that their father could give them away like that without worrying at all, by teaching himself to be letting go of everything, even attachment to his own children. That's a strange story. So, but that Chuchok, he could get anything he wanted. And that's why people busha him, because he had such mahasane. He could even ask to take away the future Buddha's children, and he got them. So, Chuchok Mahalap Kongapan Chatri Kiao Mu Tan Janmer with hand inscriptions, solid double anomaly boar's tooth, hand carved with beautiful top artisanry of Chuchok. Kodai. Chuchok can ask for anything in carved wild boar's tooth with hand inscriptions from the great Luang Putim of Wat Lahan, right? And for this, the price would be non-VIP, but out of store price, cheaper than in the shop, would be $650. VIP price, they know to ask me, yeah? But this is, although small, because it is a cot and solid, kongapan, not hollow, and it is a cot because it's a double point, yeah? Then it's not cut from one. You can see there's a point growing, yeah? It's a cot. That makes it much rarer, and the carving is so beautiful. So $650, or VIP's a different price. Here one more. Wat Klong Lumponong of Wat Klong Madan, Wat Klong Madan. You can see the age. One more sip of coffee. You can see the age. And those who know of Lumponong Wat Klong Madan, he was Kruba Ajarn of so many great masters who you might know even better, yeah? But you're talking about the caliber of Lumbu Suk, Lumpo Pit, yeah? Lumponong, he taught with Ajarn Dang, the Kruba Ajarn of Lumpo Pen, Wat Klong Madan, and Lumpo Pan. He was one of the Kruba Ajarn of Lumpo Pan of Wat Bang Nom Kho, which you can see in the Nua Muansan of his reddish amulets, very much like the amulets of Wat Bang Nom Kho, but older. Yeah. So Wat Bang Nom Kho, you're looking about 2460 BE. These, I have to remember the year they are officially registered as being, but this also This amulet, you're looking at about $1,000, which is really cheap. You look it up in Thai on the Thai marketplace, how much this costs. This here is from the great Ajarn Nam of Wat Don Sala, who made this Pitta Ner Tะกัวนำนมควาย. This is the Pratavaravadi, Dvaravadi, which is the first of the 8 eras of Buddhism in Thailand, the Dvaravadi era. So about 1,400-year-old Buddhist art with the yant on the back, yeah, from Potan Nam of Wat Don Sala, made using Muan San that he collected with the Khao master, the other Khao master, Ajarn Chum Thai Kiri, yeah. Over 13 years of Tudong. This is a very rare amulet. Nice for men, ladies, children. Buddha image. It's the Vairocana Buddha. If you're a Mahayana, you want to know which Buddha this is. This is Vairocana, yeah, which is one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas which you can see around the dome at Swayambhunath in Nepal, in Kathmandu, or any of their temples, any of the gumpas of their domes, yeah. And it's one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, Vairocana, yeah. Represents air and emptiness and air, the blue sky. If you go into jhana and become nothingness but blue sky, and you hear the voice, inner voice speaking to you, then you are connected with Vairocana. Don't know why I said that actually. This is amulet school, not occult school. Lumpu Nak is from a very famous Pim of Somdet Do, yeah, which I'm looking for right now and I cannot see. And I'm looking for it and I cannot find. Why can I not find? Oh yeah, I found it, okay. So, Somdet Praputtajanto, look at the rounded edges. Jom Khun Pon. Yeah, you look at this. Somdet Do. Look at the fossilization. Hot Yup. I'm running out of battery, sorry. And I'm going to blame anybody, but somebody's placed the charger in such a place that's absolutely ridiculous, sorry. So here. Somdet Praputtajanto. You can't find this. Look at this pieces of Camping Pet Amulet inside, and pieces of Bailan. This probably Mek Gloy or Patat, could be black Patat leg lie from the pieces of Camping Pet amulets he ground in, or it could be a piece of Gloy Namwa, Nam Thai, banana seed. Just look at the contractions in the surface and the different particles of things you can see. The shiny effect because of the fossilization as the light hits it. Look at the corners. And then this from Lumpu Nak. Yeah? See, this was pressed Somdet Do, but used knife and just fingers to round the edges. Whereas this one, the edge of Lumpu Nak from 2495, they already had more modern block presses to make a straighter edge, yeah? But you can see pieces of Wat Rakang inside, which he always did. Yeah, the contractions, not as old as some did though. And of course, get some light here. The tagline effect, the crackly effect. Yeah. From หลวงปู่นาคกับวัดระฆัง 2495 BE. So what are we going to look at now? Going to have a look at the takrut of Umpu Suk. My very last one of this type. ถักลายฟันจระเข้ You can see the age of the takrut tone leaden amulet inside, leaden yantra scroll. I keep messing about with this light. And the age of the lacquer was originally red Chinese lacquer, and you can see its blackening effect and the inimitable, unmistakable way in which this closed crocodile teeth mouth 4-channel binding has been done. Umpu Suk. This also from Umpu Suk. Different style one. This is no Tong Dang. It's not actually, it's probably mixed. Tong Dang is probably Songkasat. Yeah, you can see in the very middle there is a copper takrut. In the very middle here, you can just see here a copper takrut, and then wrapped around it leaden takrut, which would make one suspect could be a Ajarn accomplice of Umpu Suk, the great Lumpur Pit of Wat Makang. Also Lumpur Kong has like these, but they're split in four, like these, like this. So Wat Wang Saparot. So in a way it could be Lumpur Pit, but it isn't, it's Umpu Suk. Lumpur Pit much harder to find. It's Umpu Suk. Yeah, no. Two takrut of Umpu Suk, Pak Krong Makam Tau. This, often said as from Lumpur It of Wat Julamani. It's not, I say, Krupawang, because the Hum Takua, the inscription, and the Bailan itself, is in Lana, and Lumpur It of Wat Julamani is not a Lana master, he writes in Khom. Okay, this can be a ancient scroll from Lana masters made by a Central Thailand master and blessed, yeah? But no, this is Krubawang, yeah, of Wat Banden. Yes. Lana ancient parchment scroll takrut. Yeah. This is from Lumpur Chiam of Wat Nong Yao, who very famous with soldiers because they wore on his sangwat, takrut sangwan, which was two takrut with a coin of him as a necklace. And many of them were shot and not wounded, shot but the bullet did not penetrate, and all sorts of Konkapan and Klelklat stories. So his takrut, this is a card L, this is to go around the waist, and it is Gaudog. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 takrut, yeah? In perfect condition. probably either never used or rebound with new cords. Lumpo Jiam, Wat Nong Yao. You can find him on Ancient Amulet and write-ups about that. This is one slightly damaged, but very valuable, and I was going to keep it myself, but I have a few, so I don't usually like to let these go. It's a Somdet Whack Man, as you can see, a very slight damage here. If encased, it can be encased that you see no damage. With this, the thing is the sacredness and rarity of it, plus the fact it's not as expensive as it should be. From the great Ajarn Cha Supato of Wat Nong Papong. So all of the Tudong forest monks and the foreign monks who came to learn under Ajarn Cha, and most of the students of the forest tradition will know that the great master Ajarn Cha hardly ever made amulets. And this is one from him. Yeah, in sacred powders, Wat Nong Papong, from about 2519, I think, I'm not sure. And absolutely beautiful. So that would be going for about for me, that is my favorite Ajarn, would have to be $100, which is not a lot for Umpu Cha of Wat Nong Papong. Absolutely not a lot at all, because it has a very slight damage, but anybody would still want it because of the sacredness. So now go on to, this is often known as Wat Klong Tơi, the Prat group Wat Klong Tơi, but this is not Wat Klong Tơi. It's one of the pim that was made by Lumpo Supot of Wat Sutat in about 2497-98 for the Indo-Jin blessing ceremony, Indo-China War, third biggest amulet blessing ceremony in history. Yeah, in Thai Buddhist amulet history. And you can see it has the thumbprint on the back, has pieces of Somdet Wat Rakang in it. Lumpo Supot, Pra Pim Group Klong Tơi. It's a Sankajai, it's actually a Prat Sankajai. From about 2498, I believe, in the Indo-Jin war ceremony. Just look at this Muansan and the age. Look at that piece of Somdet Wat Rakang in there, these pieces. Absolutely beautiful. Speaking of Wat Rakang, also, these for sure just handed out in the palace. It's a Pimlek, and it's a beautiful Somdet Wat Rakang. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is my fingernail also. Absolutely beautiful. Pun Pet also. It's yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Fantastic for ladies who are in positions of government or power or administrative positions to improve their profession and give them more barami. Very, 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 very nice indeed. Beautiful Somdet Wat Rakang. Yeah. And Prat Khong, Prat Group now. Here you're looking at 700 years old or something. Once been lacquered and then cleaned, which is why you see the black. And here you can just see the aging. You can just see the aging characteristics here. Du Ngai, easy to see the age of this. Very, very old Prat group. Don't make me name which group because it's not important, because they were found in various places, not just Wat Pasi Mahathat or other places in Lampang and different places around the country. It's a Benjapaki, a true Prat Khong Benjapaki amulet, and probably roughly 700 years old. So I won't give a price on that. That's mine actually, so I just take offers. หลวงปู่พรหมาเขมจาโรวัดสวนป่าหิมพานต์นางคอยนะเหรียญระฆังหลังยัน so this one I'll just tell you was released in 2538 BE and it was released for the building of the Chedi Stupa. Yeah, and it's very nice. You can see the code here, code stamp, well, the code letter. Yeah, which is the letter Pa in Khom for Proma, P for Lumpu Proma, so it's the Khom Sanskrit letter P for Proma, code stamp. Yeah, very nice coin. These two mostly would be say unknown Lana master, but I look at the lacquer, the powders, the Lana tradition of the tapon. Tapon is like a drum you hang around your neck and beat both sides. This tapon, it calls customers. It's a drum that calls attention, yeah, calls money, and so on. Also, Krubawang, Lana. If I made a mistake, it would be Krubachum. Both of which are equally respected. My broken wrist is hurting. So, Krubawang or Krubachum, I say Krubawang. I say Kubawang, but could be Kubachum, because if Kubawang, it's earlier era, very old. And could even be Kubananta, because it's very old. You can tell by the rings. You can tell, and you can tell by other things as well here. You can tell by a lot of things. But it's the red powders that make me think Kubawang. So I say Kubawang. And don't really look old enough to be Krubananta. This is Prat Huyan, Lopburi, another Prat Group in Nerchin. No silver this time, just Nerchin, leaden. And you can see the crab forming once again in the crevices, yeah. And should always look for some explosions. Here you can see an explosion happening with the bubbles coming out, being pushed out. And here this is typical to see this grid effect where it's been laid out when it's been cast, yeah. And here you can see little explosions. You can see little explosions where it's busting out of the surface, yeah. And the crab should not be even over the whole amulet, which you can see it isn't. You have some sanim, some rust. You have here breaking open. This is where the surface is breaking open. If not, you would see the grid effect if it's not broken. Here is where it's starting to break the surface and push out, yeah. So Prat Huyan, Lopburi era, one of the 8 eras of Buddhism. Hundreds of years old, hundreds and hundreds of years old. So, another beautiful Prat Group. This for the fans of Lumpu Kao of Wat Krewan is the Prat Pita Panmer, hand-made of Lumpu Kao. With the takot, you can see the wan, which you also see on the Lumpu Tuat amulets, remember? The very same wan of Lumpu Kao of Wat Pak Tale, who moved later to become Lumpu Kao of Wat Krewan. his typical red Muon San. You can see poking through the lacquer, jumrak, covered in lacquer, which is cracking with age, and the wan pushed up through it, all the herb, and the takrut inside. This is a pim yai. There's a smaller pim than this as well, which I have, which I believe has a gold takrut inside. This is, I believe, takrut tong dang. I'm not sure. Cannot see because of the crap covering it. More highly preferred than and rarer than even the pitta langbeb with the flat one with the pitta impressed on the back as well as the front. So Umpu Keo Wat Kriya Wan Pim Ban Mer. Absolutely rare as heck. These are, believe it or not, if you look, I'm gonna take it this way, 2 wings and 2 Saligadong heads. Saligadong, jungle magpies. Saligadong. But instead of being a flat amulet, it's been rolled into a muon. So Kuba Krisana, first era, completely, probably first edition ever. Like this, made from his sacred, it has like a pool of water there, like it's a well, sacred water source. Using earths from that, he made these Saligadong amulets. Pure Muon San, Lang Lai Sen with Kuba Krisana's Lai Sen. You can't find these anymore. They're from the very, very first era, before they started doing fancy painting. But these are very unusual because they are I have in white and in grey powders. Because they are Saliga amulets, but they are called Saligadong Muon, rolled into a scroll. So you can actually wear it like a takrut, yeah? Like a takrut. You can wear like a takrut, Kuba Krisana. And his finest, best, most concentrated powders. And I have 2 of these too as well, which you can see is real fantastic Muon San powders, and that it's of his oldest amulets ever. Here he's used Sanskrit. Here he's done his normal inscription. This is Sanskrit, or is it Chinese? I think Sanskrit. Sanskrit, it's Om, something to Shiva. So now this is mine, not for sale. Not for sale, this one. Lumpok Got. It's called Rien Son Motorsai. It's Lung Po riding on the back of a layperson who's driving him back to the temple, picked him up on his arms round and take him back on the motorbike. And I just really like it. And just a moment. Lung Po Samano, Lung Po Samon Samano, from 2534 BE, yeah? And it's just called Rien Son Motorsai, and I just really like it. It's an amulet that's worth about, if you buy it, I think I paid about 75 bucks for this one. So it's not a super expensive one, but it's becoming very rare to find. And I just like it because it's unusual. So I just wanted to show that. Rien Son Motorsai. I got it for about 75 bucks, but you could pay 100 bucks for one. This one I got it for 75 because it had a lot of green malachite on it, but I cleaned it. So there you go. What else do I have here? Look for something. What's this? Oh, Lumpur Young Yut. Somebody asked me to see. They said they like Lumpur Young Yut because he's not too expensive. So here's a somnet from Lumpur Young Yut. Lumpur Young Yut from Wat Khao Mai Dang. Becoming very popular with Singaporeans. Yeah. And Malaysians. And this would be about 60 bucks. 60 bucks. Lumpur Young Yut, 60 bucks. But it is said that this monk's amulets are going to become, in the future, much more collected and of course increase in price. Not that that matters. What matters is which master and amulet do you prefer? Lumpur Sud of Wat Ka Long would look at best in a gold frame or a silver frame. It's a photo, a blessed photo of Lumpur Sud of Wat Ka Long. Yeah. Which you can see if you go on YouTube and write The Miracle of Lumpur Sud, S-U-D, Wat Ka Long, W-A-T-K-A-L-O-N-G. This is the Yant the Craw, yeah, the wicker, rattan wicker football yantra. See the Buddha in the middle. Because Lumpur Sud was the original famous master for the Yant the Craw, which you can see tattooed as a second tattoo, the Yant the Craw, which is of Lumpur Sud of Wat Ka Long. So those who like Sakyant and Sacred Yant, this one has the temple stamp on the back of the Yant the Craw. Very nice. I have a lot of subscribers and customers who like to collect Lumpur Sud of Wat Ka Long, so that's very nice. This is the Rien Apple Ki Mi, the apple-shaped coin riding a bear of Lumpur Dang of Wat Pom Raman, also famous for his Kun Pan, Kleop, glazed Kun Pan with the Yant Grot Pet, Diamond Armor Yantra of Lumpur Pan of Wat Bang Lom Kho on the rear face. And this is in Ner Piak Tong or Galai Tong, yeah, which will be Ner Loha Galai Tong, will be a metallic sacred chanuan and dipped in gold. Here I have two Khao O Kun Pan, which I haven't had for quite a while, on offer. These aren't cheap either. They go for over about $330. And it is the Kun Pan Oksuk of Ajarn Chum Chai Kiri from 2512. Yeah. With the Kun Pan Terdab, nah? Kun Pan Oksuk, Kun Pan going to war on the rear face with his weapons. Yeah. And on the front, of course, the traditional Kun Pan. Many of my subscribers already know this amulet. And was made with various Khao O masters, but through Ajarn Chum Chai Kiri. Yeah. And actually started being made in about 2497, but many were placed in group and brought out in about 2511 or something, 2512. But actually they were made before the 25 centuries of Buddhism celebration, and considered very powerful, proven and tested amulet of the great Ajarn Chum Chai Kiri, of the Tamnak Taksila Khao O. Yeah. In Patalung, Khao O magic, southern magic. So, what else do I have here? Oh, a Luang Pu Tim, Lian Jaran Pon Bon. Yeah. has a number 21 underneath. It has the code tar here. It has the, just let me check. Yes, the code tar on the Sankati. Yeah. Lian Ajarn Pon Bon with 21 stamped on the bottom. Then, most beautiful, Kiyomi. This is not a Kyosua. You see if it's scooped out like an ice cream scoop and the bloodlines are horizontal, not vertical. It's not a tiger tooth. It's a bear tooth. The bear tooth has a much higher thing here apart from the Bengal tiger tooth. So a lot of Lumponok's tiger teeth are mistakenly called tiger teeth because he did about 70% bear's teeth and 30% tiger teeth, and maybe 10% of those were real Bengal tiger teeth. But this one has the full formula of Yant of Lumponok. This is the Huajai Sura, the Yan Ong Pra, yeah. And these different Nat, all classic of Lumponok, and this here, classic Lumponok. This is 100% Lumponok. And a completely perfect condition bear's tooth. The front legs, Lumponok, Sanyalak, perfect. It's his crop suit, means with the full formula. Absolute full formula of things. Look at the crab inside the mouth. The build up over the years inside the mouth. And around the neck, the crab. And in the crevices of the arms, inside the hole. Here you can put a string through to wear it directly against your skin. Bear's tooth. Maha Amnat Kongrapan Chatri. Klad. And Mahalab out to a rod, you survive because a bear, he can eat berries, he can catch salmon, yeah. He's the king of the forest. I'm not even sure if a bear and a lion who would win, but this is a beautiful bear's tooth. This is a beautiful bear's tooth. Any American Indian would want that, that's for sure. Beautiful, very large bear's tooth, very big bear, very big bear. Lumponok, and you're looking at about out of store price about 45,000. You can knock me down a bit on that. Baht, Thai baht. VIP price, they know to ask. So in Thai baht would be about 45,000 baht, which is about $1,500 or so, $5,600, and that's not expensive. Not for such an ancient, blessed, hand-carved, inscribed bear's tooth from the great Lumponok of Wat Sankasi, Luksit of Lumpopan, Wat Bang here. So now let's go to Wat Bang Khun Prom of Somdet Prom Rangsi. This is mine actually. I only sell this if somebody make me an offer. I can't refuse because it's perfect on crew, and I'm sure even at the Ajarn in the top competition of Thailand of the year, I'm sure I could win a first prize for this pin because it's perfect. The crab group of the Bang Khun Prom is absolutely perfect. The slimness of it is perfect with the tamni. It is a pim Sendai, and it is a Somdet Wat Bang Khun Prom of on crew level. Yeah, this is an amulet that in the Ajarn this would go for tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, and it's just not an amulet that you would let go cheaply, because, well, would you let an amulet go cheaply that you know sells for tens of thousands of dollars? No, not me. If there's one I'm keeping, it's this one. So it's not for sale, except somebody makes me an offer I can't refuse. I wouldn't take tens of thousands of dollars, but you would have to tempt me with a decent offer for that, because nobody is giving away an Umpu Bangkun Prom amulet of this caliber at a giveaway. Impossible. Impossible. That is a millionaire amulet. It didn't cost me $1 million. I was lucky. My years of study served me. วัดเกตชโย สมเด็จวัดเกตชโย Obvious, easy to see. น้ำมันแต่งอิ๋ว tang oil, full of it, which gives it this marble domino effect in comparison to the สมเด็จวัดระฆัง. Less line contractions because it's more domino-like. Yeah. You could see the particles just here. You can see particle. You can see different tones of white particles here, here. I believe this might have been lacquered and cleaned, but no, I don't think so. A lot of people would say released at Wat Rakang because it's so smooth. I say no, this is Gitchayo, direct Gitchayo, because Gitchayo is smooth too. They don't have crab growth. Yeah. Chan, Oktan, half split chest. Half split chest. Somebody get to you. สภาพสมบูรณ์นะ very very perfect condition. Another สมเด็จ of หลวงปู่จันทร์ of วัดฉลกหลำ in เกาะพังงาน whose corpse is still in a shrine there. You can go and see it. If you've been to Koh Phangan, you will see that. หลังกาบหมาก or ไม้กระดาน I call it ไม้กระดาน some people call กาบหมาก. You can see it's the texture of the surface it was laid on to dry, and the contractions. Also mine, not for sale. หลวงปู่จันทร์ วัดฉลกหลำ just for show. I'm not selling that. ทูบพิมพ์เส้นได้ วัดระฆัง You can see the particles, the red Camping Pet, the Bailan, the Hinsilatikun, white quartzy crystals, the red Camping Pet Amulet. Camping Pet means broken up pieces of this kind of amulet, which also have black pieces in them of Lek Lai Patat. You can see here the pieces of Hinsilatikun, a red piece here of broken up pieces of Camping Pet type amulets. Yeah. This one has more tang oil in, which gives it a more yellowy effect, so it's probably a different clay batch. When they run out of clay, they make a new set, a new bowl of clay. Look at the thinness of the art and the wobbliness from contraction over the years, and the edges here. Yeah. And contractions and larger pieces of substance in the middle, whereas the powder is being pushed out to the surface. Here you can see a little bit, but there's not, because of the oil, it contains the powder a lot. You can also see the red pieces here. Look at the rubbly effect of the corners. Shows the age. Also beautiful. We now go to some Wat Rakang of Rama 5 time. We know first another Wat Gate to your. This one very rare, Hok Shan. Very khao, not a lot of Naman Tang Il inside. But don't be deceived, you can see the particles. This is very, very clean. Very, very clean, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Very rare, the Hok Shan, the 6-tiered dice version. Gate to your Hok Shan. So if you had a gate to your Hok Shan and a gate to your Jet Shan. Go. So now, I'm not sure about this one, I'm still studying, but allegedly also Nerpun Ped of Wat Rakang, but I'm not sure yet. But very nice, huh? So I'm still checking that one. This also Somdet Puttakwak, also Nerpun Ped, huh? Even though it's so dense, you can still see. I've shown these in my previous video actually. But anyway. Puttakwak, waving. With body leaves around and waving, calling. One more gate to your different kind of ner with a piece for study of broken. To show it's actually white inside. Also Nerpun Pet, this is a Pim Chedi with gate Iang with a bent top knot. Famous Pim. Famous Pim. Very famous Pim. So, Nerpun Pet, another one, Rama 5 era. I've shown this before, so don't think I've shown this, but I'm still studying. Because I'm studying Muansa and looking. I'm not studying authenticity, I'm studying if it's Somlet or Lumpunak or later. But looks good. It's looking good, but it might be Lumpunak. And so, Bangkon Prom Chedi Mai from the small Chedi stupas, not the big Chedi stupa. Bangkon Prom, like man. You can see, absolutely beautiful. And here also in the Bangkon Prom, Pim Tukata. Some people tell different stories about this. I've studied it already. It's Bangkon Prom at Bangkon Prom. Found along with the sleeping Buddha model. Somdet Papuda Janto. But you can also find from Lumbu Puak and different other masters, but this not. Or Wat Rakang, it's Somdet though, yeah. But they show it with the Bangkon Prom. Actually, I would say Wat Rakang. Anyway, nobody is alive who was alive at that time, so also Wat Rakang. พิมพ์หลวงวิจารณ์ top number 1 ช่างสิบหมู่ artisan palace artisan and one more สมเด็จเนื้อเทา no probably เนื้อเกสร one second yes เนื้อเกสร which will be the only aged wat rekhang that has any kind of aroma to it is นื้อเกสร you can see the contractions of the sides here pieces in silati kun beautiful a beautiful perfect somdet perfect so now we go on to a couple of Umpu. Oh, I just show you this Kruba Krishnat coin. I forget what it's called. I call it Mot Huang. That's actually another coin. Mot Huang. You can see it's a tape Jamlang Pamon, the butterfly, king butterfly, but it has a Rusi sat in the middle. Yeah, and of course has Rahu around the side, and on the other side it has the sips. Actually we could call it Rian Sip Song Gasat. And on the back here you can see Trimurti, which is Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma together in one god. Sip Song Gasat, the 12 Chinese horoscope signs. Arusi sat with wings of the king butterfly, which is actually a manifestation of the god Shiva. Yeah, so actually is for Busha to Shiva if you Busha the king butterfly, because king butterfly is actually a manifestation of Shiva in Mahasane. Yeah, and there's a very old coin. I can't remember right which edition because it's early era and only a very few were released from Kruba Krishnat. Rusi sat inside the butterfly king, surrounded by Rahu for good horoscope, and the 12 horoscope signs on the back with Trimurti, the Trinity, the Hindu Trinity on the back. Kruba Krishnat. I'm not sure how many he made of these coins. Might have been 9, might have been 99, but not many. So now, Lumbuto, Wat Padu Chimpli. This is called Somdet, Phang Met Khao San Dam, because on the back it has a piece of black rice seed in the back, which has magical properties, yeah. And it's a Pim Jumbo, there's a big Somdet, huh? From Lumbuto, Wat Padu Chimpli, Lang Met Khao San Dam, with the Yan Trini Singhe on the back, which if you write Yant Trini Singhe, TRINGSINGHAE in YouTube, you'll find Yant Trini Singhe. 2 videos I made about it. This one is the Lumbuto Loop Muan. This particular one with the takrut in the bottom, they only made 400 of. There's only 400 in the world of this. There's only 400 of them with takrut, yeah? And this is in perfect condition. Don't drop it. Perfect condition. Lumputo Wapadu Chimpli, yeah? And there's another one which was not made only 400. No takrut. Which they made in, I'm not sure how many hundreds of that, a few thousand, couple of thousand maybe, 2,500 maybe, I can't remember the exact number. You can see the Chenamont, the effect of those prayer water here. From the Geson, that's the herb coming up. Yeah, this one has no takrut. It's less expensive because it's less rare, but it's actually the same blessing, Same power? Well, depends if you think that the crud inside the other one is going to increase the power or not. No price is given on those in the moment. This one you can see has become very dry and kind of crumbly. And so it must be taken care of well. Don't be banging it against the walls or anything. But normally a pita like this, you're looking in the thousands, yeah, of dollars. But in this condition, the Great Moon Saan of Umpu, it's a complete amulet. It's just fragile. It's lang, natana. It's usually in perfect condition. You'd be looking at a $2,000 amulet, yeah, on shopfront price. But something like this, I would actually sell this one because of its quite used condition for about 350 bucks, which is cheap as hell. But of course, as you say in Thailand, tam sa pap chai, according to how well used it is, or little used, or lot used. This has been used a lot. So instead of 2,000 plus, would be like 350 bucks. Try knocking me down if you want. If you like jinjok, these are jinjok in solid silver from a monk who only ever makes few, and even when they come out, they're very expensive and sell out, even though it's new era monk. This is 2556 BE, so that's, I'm now in 2022, which is 2564. That's 8 years old already. The thing is, these are number 1 and number 9, which they have stamped on inside the amulet. It's in solid silver, and they have the number. This has the number 9 stamped here. And so I think they only made about 50 of them. And I've sold number 6. I had 1, 3, 6 and 9. I've sold 3 and 6, I think. And I've kept these for 8 years since I bought them. So that is number 1 of, I believe, 50. I can confirm that later. That is the number 1 of the limited edition in solid silver. So that has to be more expensive than that. I'm sorry, but numerology is important to me and other people. And to have the one with number 1, even I want it. I'd rather keep it otherwise. And number 9 being a lucky sacred number in Buddhism, of course. Also. So here you're looking at not the number 1, the number 9. About I don't know yet. You have to ask me. I have to think about that, and I have to check because I don't want to say more than what might be taken, and I don't want to say less, because I really prefer to keep them almost. But I know some people might find that interesting. 1 and 9, yeah, with the jinjok, lucky jinjok. And for prestige, this is very collectible. I mean, number 1. Number 9 is magical number also, but number 1, yeah. Still with Lumputo. This is one I never seen in the books. It's a metal somdet. Yeah. It's very heavy. And here we have the somdet. I think Kato. Yeah. Wait. No, this somdet Kato, and there's the somdet Pim Yai or Brock Paw. This is a Kato. And I think Brock Paw or just Pim Yai. Lumputo, Wat Padu Chimpli. This is one of his most rare and expensive amulets. Lumputo is one of the expensive masters. Not my fault. Yeah. Lumputo, Wat Padu Chimpli. But they're very expensive, these amulets. They are. They're really, really expensive. Yeah. With the Ajarn, they're unbuyable. Yeah. Unbuyable. With me, they're still very expensive for what most people would say. Unless you know Lumputo and you're a collector and you have that budget, then no, my price is not expensive. It's not expensive. Yeah. Out of store price. Usually this would be on the Thai marketplace, depending on condition, $3,000 and upwards. I'd take $1,999 for that. This also very expensive. I'd take $999 for that one. Dollars, huh? American. Sound a lot? Then obviously you're a lower end student, meaning study lower end amulets. This one is the Brock Paul. It has a slight chip in it. Good for study of Mo and sand. If you encase it, then it looks perfect, because otherwise it's perfect. Wat Padu Chimpli, Somdet Brock Paul. That because of the chip, ask me, I'll give a good price on that. Not very expensive. These two, also really expensive amulets of Lumputo. Really, 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 really expensive amulets of Lumputo. This is a Brock Paw, which I would call Sadum Glap, like this, yeah? Of Lumputo. You can see his influence of the powders of Wat Plap with this one, yeah? In very good condition, actually, this one. But this is also, in Thailand, you know, well over anything between, you can look at about $5,000 for this, yeah? I'd take, oh my God, you know, if I sold it in Thailand, I'd get a lot of money for that. Out of store price, oh my God, about, I have another one too, have two. I will do in my next video things that start from $50 to $300 everything, because I'm doing some quite expensive amulets here, yeah? So it might be frightening some of the general viewers off, but not the VIPs and my people who have a higher budget and who know amulets, yeah? But this Somdet Brock Paw is it's always hard with really, really prestigious, expensive amulets to say the price. It really is, because even me, it makes my feet shake. When I buy them, it does. And when I have to tell somebody how much. I never like taking money off people anyway. It's not my specialty is explaining amulets, not making prices. But it's just they're so expensive. I mean, what can I do? You know, I want to say this, but I can't. I want to say that much, and I can't. You just can't. You can't sell a Rolls Royce at the price of a 50cc second-hand Honda motorbike, can you? You can't. You'd rather keep it. You just can't. You'd lose money as well. I've kept these for about over a decade. You know, to tempt me with this, you know, you'd have to show me $2,000 each. If you bought both of them, I'd actually like to keep one. Then maybe if the $2,000 each bought both, then maybe $3,500 for both, which is cheap as hell and wouldn't come down from that even at a VIP price. So that's a VIP price in public. God damn it, I shouldn't have said that. Here's another Somret Wat Rakang. Does this have a certificate? No, I have one almost identical in this style with the certificate. This one doesn't. Gate Talot Som Bok Po Tag Lai Nga. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is a white color. Poon Pet. There you go. That's the real color of it. This one, beautiful relief. Yep. Chang Luang Wichan. This one in baht. Tapajan. Oh my God. Minimum $12,000 to $15,000 in Tapajan online websites. But if you went to Tapajan yourself direct, they sell this kind of one for, Jesus, how much? $100,000 or something. I would take $2,000 for that. Would take $2,000 for that. I want to see one that I would take about $1,500 from, because third era Somret Papujajanto. A lot of people actually prefer these because they're classic and accepted and well known. These pimp and this appearance, yeah. More definitely documented by most of the common public will know this much more. About $1,500 for that. You're probably looking at $2,000 to $3,000 in Thailand in a magazine for that. This one is just a very tiny Maha Amnat Rajasi Pon, pouncing, poised to pounce Rajasi, King Himapant Lion from Umpu Rien of Wat Nong Bua, not Wat Bang Rahong. And I said that wrong as well. These I said also you have is from Lumpo Yod, Lumpo Jai of Wat Sadet also made, but you can also find from Lumpu Rien of Wat Nong Bua, not Wat Bang Rahong. I spoke wrong. And this is Wat Nong Bua also, Lumpo Lien, very old, about a century. So this one being very tiny, although it's very nicely carved, be quite willing to flog this, meaning sell this, at about $120. It's carved ivory, so that's very worth it. Very nice for a lady, encased in gold, would look beautiful. And being so affordable, you could afford the gold casing, that would actually make it an extremely prestigious amulet. The price does not reveal the prestige of the amulet, yeah? I think I've shown this, I've sold one in my shop before. Lumpu Iam, the rare type with lacquer and it's a pita, but it's covered in lacquer and chuak akom, bound with sacred spellbound magical cords. That sold for, I believe, around the $1,000-ish mark or above, in $1,000 or so in the shop. That one. Out of shop prices, $850. VIPs can ask me. Mechi Bunruan, the famous Buddhist nun, Phang Ploy Dang. It's you can't see the red, but it's actually a ruby, a real Thai ruby inside there, made from Nerpon Saksit. And this one has little On the back, inscribed from Mechi Bunryan, yeah, the famous Buddhist nun of Wat Awut, yeah. And that, well, I have some in the shop. I can't remember how much they are, so I can't say a price unless I mess up. But let's say out of shop price, 20% cheaper than in the shop. So find it in ancientamulet.com, see how much it is, and knock 20% off that, and that's how much it would be worth if you contacted me online for out of shop. The Somdet Sunduwan, which I believe it was the North Korean minister, went to Burma and survived a bomb blast and wore this amulet during the time. So this became a very famous amulet of Lumputo of Wat Padu Chimpli. Yeah? This is usually in black powders. This is in black powders, but it has developed for some reason this green malachite crab on it, which I personally find very nice. Gives it a green shimmer, and I've never seen one with the green shimmer before. Only Bailan black. Yeah. So there's some atmospheric reaction happened to this. It's the last one I have of these, the Somdet Sumduwan. Very famous for surviving deadly accidents because famous, I think it was the Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister, but a minister of North Korea or South Korea was in Burma, it has to be North Korea. And somebody tried to assassinate and it didn't work. It was Klau. So this amulet is very highly regarded. It's also in the shop for sale, so I would say, look, find it in the shop. Out of shop price, 20% less. VIPs who buy lots from me and have spent lots with me, ask me, and I'll do it cheaper than that because you've already supported me for so long, yeah? Or buy enough of other things and I might even give you that as a gift, which I do things like that. If people buy a lot, then I give them a really valuable gift. So, Lumpu Mun, Wat Banjan, Leg Ning, you can see sometimes this number 1 on the chest is upside down on some examples, yeah? Tong Dang. You look at the lines of the hairs, the details, yeah? And you count the numbers on the rosary, yeah? To see. You can see the ridge here. Also, you have to look. This I don't think I have put any in my shop yet. Lumpu Mun, Wat Banjan. And then Lian Narai. Lumpu Mun, Wat Banjan. You see this code stamp? These were released at, this one was released at Wat Pa Nong Lom, 3,500 made, and this one was released at Wat Sutat, you can tell by the different code stamp, 7,500 released, 3,500, 2 or 3,500 released, yeah, of the Rian Lo. Or Rian Narai, Rian Lang Narai, Songkrut. This is the Prat Narai Vishnu on the back, yeah? So there's the same amulet, but 2 different ceremonies. The Wat Pa Nong Lom actually went into the Wat Sutat ceremony too, but was released in another ceremony at Wat Pa Nong Lom, and this is actually the preferred one. I think I sell them at the same price, to be honest, because I can't be bothered with that. But, or maybe not, I'm not sure. Because this, if I buy it, is more expensive than this. Because they're made less, it's rarer. So 2 of those. You can see how much they are in the shop on ancientamulet.com. 20% less out of shop price for non-VIPs. VIPs, please ask me. This is Nua Nawa and this is Nua Tong Dang. And it is the Rien Se Ma. You can see the code Mi or Ma, Mi. here, which means released at Wat Pa Nong Lom as well, not another one, it's Wat Pa Nong Lom. Yeah, you can see this Navat has a lot of gold in it. You can see it shimmering. And this very beautiful, well done Tong Dang. Very nice and pure, no stains on it at all. Let's get some light here. Let's get some detail. It's good to have no oil on my hands because you should never touch the surface of a coin unless your hands are completely dry and clean. Wat Pa Nong Lom. And he has a code stamp on his robe as well, making that Gamagan. And this also, or do they all? I think they all have. And this is definitely Gamagan because it's Nava, and just look at the gold content in it, huh? Yes, beautiful. Beautiful. And because of high gold content, it's soft metal. So you can see the bulge here, there's a tiny bulge of the code stamp, but here the bulge is very big because this metal is softer because of high gold content. My theory, huh? Believe or not. So this is Lien Bai Po or Lien Nang Quack, Lang Bai Po. The Lien Po Kasap, yeah, officially called Lien Po Kasap. And you can see again, once again, the code of Wat Pa Nong Lom, is it? Yeah. Wat Pa Nong Lom. Huh? In Umpu Watananakorn in Sakao. Released in 2543 BE. And it's called the Rien Po Kasap. And it is in the Piti Bro Po Tratsaru. In the ceremony for planting the body tree of enlightenment, Putakaya. Oh, they took a seed from the body tree in Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha was enlightened, and planted a child tree of the original Bodhi tree where the Buddha sat under and became enlightened. Yeah. So it was to celebrate the planting of a Bodhi tree taken from a seed from the original Bodhi tree of the Buddha. And it's a Rien Nang Quack. Rien Po Kasap with Nang Quack and bags full of money and the Baipo on the back, yeah? Because of the Bodhi tree. So the Bodhi leaf on the back. Beautiful and very rare coin, yeah, from Lumpu Mun of Wat Banchan. Again, Lumpu Mun. Rien Klom. You can see with the code map. And you can see Bo Yai, Bo Leg. You can see the bow here touches the edge. That's a Bo Yai. You can see the bow here is at a distance from the edge. That is a bow leg, small bow, large bow, or small ribbon, large ribbon, yeah? And of course the Tung Po Kasap on the rear face, again. Yeah? 999 million, yeah? So, หมุนเงินหมุนทอง increase silver and gold, yeah? And this will exist also with 19 and 18 rosary beads, depending. And I think that's about it. Couple more Lumpu Mun. Here's another Lumpu Mun. Only have one of these. Huh? Beautiful. Also Wat Pa Nong Lom stamp. Ruai Ruai. Rien Ruai Ruai. 99999. Yeah? Wat Pa Nong Lom. 2543. Released in the same edition. พระพุทธเจ้าหับพระองค์แหละ This also เหรียญรุ่นแรก first edition. They call it the เหรียญรุ่นแรก หลังหนุมาน yeah? Of Lumpu Mun. Lumpu Mun. รุ่นแรก you see รุ่นแรก first edition เหรียญรุ่นแรกof หลวงปู่หมุนวัดปัญจานเนื้อทองแดงอันทองแดงรมมันปู this is รมมันปู you can see the stamp here go not sure when that was released and that is เหรียญหลวงปู่ม่อน I believe 2537 25 sorry I think 70th birthday edition with the Yan Maha Ut on the back inside the Lotus Yantra. Umpu Mon with code stamp. Umpu Mon, a lot of Southeast Asians like that. It's the Ajarn Pon of Lumpu Mon. Yeah. Of Chonburi, yeah. Sorry. Drop something here. There we go, sorry. Lumpu Mon. Of Wat Nen Tamak. Lumpu Mon, Wat Nen Tamak. A lot of Singaporean people like to collect this. I'm thinking of encasing it in gold and putting it in the shop, but any interested can make me an offer for that one. Very beautiful coin. I like Lumpu Mon, Wat Nen Tamak. 7 รอบ I have a code stamp on. Very nice in นื้อทองแดง. So what else do I have here? I think I'm running to the end now. I'm just going to show 2 more lumputo. One very rare. I think they only made 400 of. I gave one away and kept one. Stupid me. In นื้อตะกั่ว out of lumputo. Tamsha, Somnet Tamsha, that this one is a special edition released at another temple and they only made 400 of them. Very, very rare indeed, Lumputo. And one more, which I showed you one that had a slight breakage of Brock Paw. I already showed you this one with the small break. That's Nơ Geson, this is Nơ Pong. So this one is from the Yuan India, from the Visiting India edition. You can see this is an Indian Hindu temple when they went to Sarnath and visited India. So it was to celebrate the Lumputo and his monks went to visit India to pay homage and do pilgrimage. Yeah. And of course they took Muan San and stuff. So this is one of the much more affordable amulets of Lumputo. This is affordable for people of most budgets, yeah. So the Yuan India edition, yeah. You're looking at maybe in the shop front, $200. Be 20% off 160 and VIPs can ask me. So out of shop price $160. That one. And I'll change that one down to whatever I said to say I sell this for about $100 because of the chip, which is really cheap. So, anything else? Yes, I do have a couple more. One more. I have one more, which is the Pratnak Prop Fangro, made in 2497, Wat Pasi Mahatat. Massive ceremony with Ajarn Chum, Kun Pan, and so many masters, the Khao Or masters. But then Ajarn Chum took some with him and also placed in Grot, and then took out in 2512. This is from the Grot with the Lang Yan Nam Tao. You can even see the fingerprint on it. Yeah, and this also used to be much more affordable. When I first got my first batch of these, they went for about $220, which at the time was about 6,500 baht. Now you're looking at about $300 for such an item these days. It's about 9,000 baht, actually 9,600, but say 9,000. I would sell this for 7,000 baht out of store, because the price is raised. You would see them for about that price in my shop on thailandamulet.net, but I posted that like 12 years ago. The price has changed. So, yeah. Let me think. Yeah, 6,500 baht out of store price. VIPs can ask me and I'll give a much more decent price. And I think that's about it. One more Rien, Lumpa Prom. Wat Chong Care. I've got a broken wrist and broken left hand. Very nice for kids. Wat Chong Care 54 2554. So Lumpa Prom. Wat Chong Care was still, yep, Lumpa Prom. I'm sorry, I was getting confused with Wat Palan Lumpap. So it's a Rien Jack Macroa for ladies and children. Lumpa Prom Wat Chong Care. Yeah. 54 edition. And for those who can't afford the Mechi Bunryung with the ruby, there are these small Pimpita Putto inscribed by Mechi Bunryung, the Akara Kata Putto, with Fang Patat. She put sacred relics inside. A Pitta amulet, yeah, in her Poon Seg, yeah, Sai Poon Sai Seg. Sacred sand and sacred powders enchanted and inscribed with a piece of sacred patat inserted. Have two of those from Mechi Bunryung. Yeah. So anybody interested, contact me on line ID Thailand Amulets. One word, small caps, not all caps, not big letters. Thailand Amulets, all in one word. Or on WhatsApp using Ajarn Spencer, one word, AJARNSPENCER @gmail.com. Or you can email us on thailandamulets@outlook.com. Or you can also WhatsApp me using, no, you can use the email to WhatsApp me. If I say my telephone number, people start phoning me when I'm filming. This video got interrupted and I had to start again because somebody called me when I was filming. So WhatsApp at ajarnspencer@gmail.com, email at thailandamulets@outlook.com, or Line, which is the best for me, on Line ID Thailand Amulets. Add me and I will add you as soon as I see you have added me. This is solid silver, number 281 of, I believe, 2555 BE. Pat Puttashinarat, with, of course, Somdet Pat Naresuan Maharaj on the rear face, the king, with its code number you can see on the bottom, lasered on. Beautiful in snow white silver. I've kept that now for about 9 years. And that is now impossible to find in Nyangan. This out of shop price, not cheap. $350. Yep, sorry, but that's normal. They want that here. And VIPs can ask me. This can only be encased in waterproof or custom silver and gold casing, and would not be cheap to encase because of this funny shape around the top bar. The flames, the gun up flames. But that's beautiful. I'm not taking it out of the plastic to avoid discoloration until it's encased. Beautiful. So, Ajarn Spencer with Amulet School, or showing my VIP update and out of store update, getting ready to sign off. I'll just show you that I have one more item. I have a few of them. Is this Umpu Gao Wat Lahan Rai in purple blue powders with Saire Tongkam gold flakes in Ner Pong Prai Guman 2514BE, blessed alongside with Umpu Tim and using Umpu Tim's Pong Prai Guman powders. A friend of mine was run over by a 16-wheeler truck in his car, and only the driving seat was left with him scratchless on it. I gave him one of these to put in his pocket just before he went, because he rented a car in Thailand and he hadn't driven in Thailand for 20 years and never driven a car in Thailand, and tried to drive from Pattaya to Korat, Nakhon Ratchasima, passing Bangkok, and got drove into on a 16-wheeler truck behind him and flattened the rental car, but he was unscratched in it. And so I like to recommend this amulet as a protective amulet. And these usually go for about $99, made by Umpu Gao. During the ceremony, he was photographed with fire coming out of his nostrils. As you find this amulet on ancientamulet.com, the Kun Pen Jiu Umpu Gao Wat Lahan Rai, you will see I sell it for about $90, $99. And there is a picture of him with the fire coming out of his nose in the amulet write-up. So you can see that. You can see that. But in this particular color, very rare indeed. Tao Long Na Nursi Fa. Really hard to find. So they go for $99. Out of store price $90. If you are a VIP, you can ask me. I have more than one. And I have other colors too. So that's me with my amulets, putting them away for now, some of them at least, and finish with the one I started, which was Lumpo Pinat. Beautiful one, Dao Naipan. And there you go. Ajarn Spencer signing off. I hope you enjoyed this. Informative and looking at amulets. And actually, because of my needs, of course, and personal interest, I hope some of you are interested in perhaps renting a few. It would help to support me showing you stuff. Because in the moment, I lost PayPal, and since a month, I haven't actually sold anything through my online shop, Ancient Amulet. Although I have sold through thailandamulet.net. But my sales have gone really down, which is why I'm using this new method of out-of-store sales. So to just stop being arrogant for a moment, stop making people think just because I've got really expensive amulets that I'm mega rich or something. I'm not, because I spent what should have been money on more and more amulets, because I'm as crazy as some of you guys. And so actually, over the last 30 years, I could have probably saved $1 million, but in the end, what I have is probably $150,000 in my bank savings, it's my life savings, and maybe $2 million worth of amulets in boxes, but that's not going to feed me. I like to look at them, but 58, I think I've over-collected, and it's time to sell a few, and then maybe I can finally buy a house, because in Thailand. I can rent land for 30 years, I can't afford that. But I've been forced to move house every year or two, and it cost me 2 16-wheeler trucks full of my museum stuff to move. And, you know, I'm sick of moving every 2 years. So I need some money so I can find a way of affording a permanent home. I can stop wandering around and dragging my wife and dogs with me, and 2 16-wheeler trucks full of my amulets and stuff, and books, my old books and grimoires, and which I'll end with saying that. It's very sad, but I don't want to die and let it be broken up. My Museum of Buddha Magic and Sakyant, all my grimoires and Sakyant instruments and ancient spell books, I'm going to sell, with all my Buddha statues as and Porge statues, as a complete museum, but only to a curator who is really willing to look after it and possibly make it a public visiting place, because I never managed to do that. I'm not good in the real world. I'm only good talking to you through this interface, but person to person, I don't have public relations, and I can't make things happen in the real world. I can only make things happen in the Matrix. So if people want to support me by buying one of my amulets here, would be very nice. And that is Prat Kong Tai Chum, with Ajarn Kong on this side and Ajarn Tong Tao on this side, of the Khao tradition, 2512 BE. Very, very rare. Usually priced at about $350. Not changed since about 20 years. 300 bucks is okay. 280 is okay out of store price. VIPs can ask. And there you go. That's me done. Unless anybody wants to see, I showed last time, Prat Bilan from Lumpur, Prat Balad Bilan, who Somdet Tho, in his last years when he was getting ill, told Prat Balad Bilan to take over administrating Wat Rakhang Sitaram, and gave him Muan San to make amulets. So Prat Bilan created these amulets, but Somdet Tho was still alive, and so they both blessed them. Somdet Tho probably from laying down in his gutti because he was not well, but it was his Muan San, he blessed it, and then went through a giant ceremony, but sponsored the designs and arranging all the details, because Somdet Tho was ill, was Prat Balad Bilan. So it's called the Prat Bilan, but actually considered Somdet amulet, Wat Rakhang amulets of Somdet Tho, because he was still alive, used his Muan San ingredients, and was also included in the empowerment, apart from Prat Balad Bilan. And there you go. And this, a new age amulet from 2562 BE, so it's only 2 years old. But this is a Namruk. I'd like to show you it, just to finish on a new amulet. And this is made from Ner Chen Nuan Gao. You can see it's made from ancient Chen Nuan metals. And that's from Nakhon Phanom, from Umpu Sang. Very, very famous and preferred by Thai people in the modern era. Probably going to become a famous master monk of historical fame. It's a Pimgate Talut Som metallic Rien Law in Chen Nuan Gao, sacred smelted artifact metals. So finish with a new one. And that goes, you can find them in Thailand-amulet.com, and they're really well priced. But one day they won't be, because Lumbu Sang of Nakhon Phanom, this monk, is the one who is to be watched out for in the moment. So I'll end with that. Watch out for this monk, Lumbu Sang. And this is called the Prat Somdet Yok Thana, to raise your status. Okay, so there you go. Ajarn Spencer, Amulet School for Amulets TV, and my own channel, signing off.